Komsonauts. Today, we're going to be exploring what does the wealthiest person you know do for work, and do they work on weekends? Answer 1. My dad, he owns a large construction company. He's worth tens of millions. He rarely works anymore, mostly just emails, but rarely anything in person. For 25 years, he worked around the clock, nights, weekends, holidays, family events. He ruined his marriage and his relationship with his 3 kids. Answer 2, CIO. And yes, he works weekends and whenever he has to. So that nice paycheck can suck at times. He has 2 young kids, 1 and 1 girl, and planned a trip to Disney World for 2 years. While they were there, he had a major work issue and spent days on Zoom calls while his wife and kids went without him as he sat in the hotel room. A nice steady good job, in my opinion, is better than a job where you have to do crap like that and miss out on such important times.
Someone answer. Our last night in Disney was also ruined by my husband's manager, who called him screaming over some project. My husband never is fazed by being yelled at for work-related stuff, and these calls totally destroyed his mood. Fun times.
Answer 3, my little brother, he owns a production company that makes porn. He takes home just under $1 million a year. He does not work weekends. He handles most of the paperwork side of the business, so he usually works Monday to Wednesday, gets it all out of the way, and then has 4-day weekends. Answer 4, stay-at-home dad. He married a very motivated and successful businesswoman who comes from a wealthy family, and they just got a big inheritance because one of her relatives died. Think millions. Keep in mind, he was also a very motivated and successful businessman, but after their 4th kid, he decided to stay home and raise them because she made slightly more money than him. Honestly, couldn't have happened to a better guy. I've known him since I was 13, 36 now, and he is the most level-headed, kindest, smartest, hardworking person you could ever meet. Answer 5. I have family who inherited many millions of dollars from people who invested in Exxon in the early 20th century. They don't work and never have. Most of them spend their time trying to learn skills they will never use and are terrified that they'll blow it all on drugs or alcohol. Some of them have. They do know that it's essentially blood money, so one saving grace is that they don't act as if they're better than anyone else because they have money. Other people in the same family who didn't yet inherit any of that money but manipulated their way into positions of power where they make $500,000 each year because no one under them can prevent them from doing so are far more annoying about money. They constantly berate their own siblings about life choices while putting on a facade that they're good people by doing flimsy performative gestures and publicizing them. Answer 6. He drove an oil truck, worked his ass off for 30 years, woke up at 5 a.m., prepping his truck, sometimes minus 30. Weather or worse, worked whenever the call came in. He's worth a few million. End user 7. Cousin, won the lottery and initially invested a majority of it in investment real estate for passive income. They set up a business to take care of the properties, i.e. lease agreements, rental collection, maintenance, etc., and are not involved in the day-to-day management thereof. They look at the property values at times and will trade up when needed. They now buy fixer-uppers, renovate themselves alongside contractors, and flip them for huge profits. They've learned how to do masonry, carpentry, electrical, and plumbing over the years, and essentially use the contractors to sign off on their work. They spend 9 months on these projects, 3 for scouting and planning, 4 for renovation, 1 to live in, and 1 for final touches, post-renovation refinement, before selling and moving on. They've been doing this since 2013 and take a 3-month break in between projects. During the first 2 phases of their projects, they typically work 6 days a week. We don't know the exact details of their finances now, but speculate that they've more than doubled their initial lottery winnings, while, according to them, not having to work. All in all, not bad for someone that was a sales rep and never had any handyman experience.
Someone answer. It's low-key so satisfying to read stories of lottery winners who treated their money right, lol. Thanks for sharing.
Answer 8. Richest person I knew worked every day for many long hours of backtracking work. He also lucked into many opportunities, but again, it came from his hard work and determination. He was in the military, and before, he worked on his family farm. After serving, including Vietnam, he took the family farm and turned it into an orchard that became very successful. When I met him, he was retired. He drove an old pickup truck, lived modestly, and remained humble. Only later did we realize how rich he actually was. Second richest person I met was someone who, once again, was humble and lived modestly. He was very kind. It was only noticeable a few times when something came up. For example, I was talking about visiting Hawaii, and he asked where. You could tell he was very knowledgeable about the area. So I asked if he had visited, and he just said he had been there recently. Only later did I find out it was because he has a vacation home there, as well as one of his businesses. Answer 9. Well, the wealthiest is my boss. He's a billionaire with B. Considering 2 months ago, he didn't feel like driving home, so he had his helicopter drop him and his wife off right in the front yard. Nah, I think he's past working the weekends. In B4, yes, he's an old white dude. Did something with agriculture. Owns some sport teams. Yes, they're decent. He wears Skechers and $30 button-downs. Answer 10. I'm lucky I knew 2 billionaires. One was hovering around 1, owned a large asset management firms, and the other is around 3, owns and operates tech firms. Both spend their weekend with their family. The investor had to rule all that he would have dinner with his family every night. The tech one seems to be constantly entertaining and not home during the evenings, but has a rule he cooks breakfast and drops his kids off to school every morning. Both weekends were generally the same. I'm fairly close to both, they don't know each other. And during dinners, both have told me that without a strong family, it's hard to be where they are. The tech one explained it well. If a problem happens at work, being with family melts it away. But if a problem happens at home, then it hurts his work, so he focuses on family. Answer 11. He 2 wealthiest people I know are both longtime lawyers, and both are pretty low-key, down-to-earth people who did not come from money. One is a lawyer who specializes in a super niche area, eminent domain. He has been semi-retired for over a decade. He invested well when he worked full-time, then retired at age 55 on a pile of money. He told me his plan was to move into a condo in Florida and never work again. But his former employer kept offering him contract work and he kept raising his rates, but they'd give him contracts anyway. He knows his space so well, this stuff is simple for him. He works 10, maybe 15 hours a week and pulls in probably $250,000 a year. And honestly, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. His wife and kids are all genuinely good people too. The other guy is a federal judge who lives near me. I don't know what he did in private practice, but it made him plenty of money before he went into civil service. He's another guy who invested well and lived simply for most of his life. Super interesting to talk with over drinks. Contrary to popular belief, he works a lot. It's more accurate to say his work and life are highly integrated. Constant phone calls, texts, and emails from the public and private sectors asking for opinions, interpretations, and perspectives. Government events, university events, nights, weekends, holidays. He has to make a deliberate effort to just shut it all out when he can, or it will consume all his time. Answer 12. He doesn't work, he spends his days feeding animals in his huge ranch. You would never know that he is super wealthy. It's crazy because I'm around snooty people every day who work so hard and make so much money, yet they will never make as much as he has, even if they worked 200 years. That was enough for today, cosmonaut. I'll wait for you in the next travel.